I've received questions from green card holders who are outside the U.S. or visitors inside the U.S. as to what can they do during this shutdown caused by COVID-19. Well, let's take the immigrants who happen to be outside the U.S. I'm aware that there are travel bans and shutdowns. What I would say is ordinarily, if an immigrant is outside the U.S. for less than 6 months and they come in, it's fine. If they're outside between 6 months and 1 year, it is considered as though they are seeking admission to the U.S. If they are outside the U.S. for over a year, it's though they have abandoned their green card. However, I would say that there are still many forms of relief available. First of all, I've already contacted Customs and Border Protection at the airport, spoke with the supervisor. They are saying that they are well aware of the COVID-19, and if an immigrant happens to be caught outside the U.S. and finally returns beyond these deadlines, they're going to exercise flexibility. Number two, a person may want to contact the U.S. Embassy by email or something. Hey, I'm a green card holder. I am still interested in my green card. I have no intentions of abandoning it. There's also what's called a returning resident green card, that if a person is outside the U.S. for reasons beyond their control, they can always go back to the U.S. Embassy to have their green card renewed. Now, the key point is a person is outside the U.S. for reasons beyond their control. That means that as soon as these travel bans are lifted, the person should get back to the U.S. right away. I've had many cases where a family member comes to the U.S. and they say, oh, a relative went back to the Philippines or wherever on their green card and they've been outside for 4 years or whatever. And then in speaking with them, you ask, well, why were you outside so long? Oh, well, I was caring for a relative until they passed away. Well, when did they pass away? 3 years ago. In other words, if you're going to come back to the U.S., you need to come back as soon as possible if you're a green card holder. Now, what about people who are in the U.S. as non-immigrants? Let's say visitors. They were only given 6 months, and because of the shutdowns or the risks in traveling during this pandemic, they cannot get outside the U.S., they cannot leave. USCIS recommends that before your period of authorized stay or status expires, meaning the time on your I-94, file for an extension. If you've already missed that deadline, file the extension anyway. USCIS has stated it will exercise flexibility because they're well aware of what's going on here. And even if it's filed late, they could still approve an extension. But then again, make sure once the pandemic is over, you leave timely. I hope you found this informative because one of the reasons I have this channel is to keep my viewers informed on the latest news, developments, policies, cases concerning immigration. And I hope you find it useful, or maybe somebody you know might find this useful, such as your family members, your friends, or even co-workers. So please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red box, and don't forget to like and share. I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and this is U.S. Immigration TV.